Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of our presentation, Publication Success Essential Strategies Part 2. I am Dr. Chris, and I am your presenter for this webinar. For this presentation, we have highlighted 6 major sections or topics that we will be discussing to guide you through on essential publication strategies. Introduction is an important aspect of your research article. So when you're drafting your introduction section, you have to be very concise. The first thing to do is to provide a brief or concise research background. After that, you have to clearly articulate the research gap and also the practical gap, depending on the kind of research you're conducting. After that, you must clearly state the novelty of your research. And most importantly, you must clearly highlight the implication of your research. So your implication could be in the form of a theoretical implication, practical implication, and even methodological implication. After you must have highlighted your introduction section, you will still have to revisit this section after you have conducted your literature review. So, a literature review is a vital aspect in your research. In your researcher review, you will begin to review what have been done in that particular area of research. The essence of this review is to identify major trends and gap in existing literature. Okay? Via literature review, you will begin to interpret related literature, integrate and analyze multiple studies to create a unified understanding of the topic. Through your literature review, you will be able to identify the research gap, how you will be able to solve the missing puzzle. That is very important. Some people, when they do literature review, they just report what people have done. No, it goes beyond reporting. It requires critical review, critical argument, and reaching a conclusion on a specific topic. And once you have conducted your literature review, then you want to look at existing tools that will help you. There are various existing tools that will help you to conduct a good literature review. We are aware of artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT and Bard and so many other tools that will help you in brainstorming. But one thing I'd advise is for you not to abuse these softwares. Rather, you use them ethically, and these softwares will help you in brainstorming during your literature review. There are also softwares that will help you in paraphrasing, like the QBots, in managing your references, and so many other softwares out there which you can use to enhance your writing when conducting a research. After literature review, the next thing to do is to enter into the methodology section. Research methodology section is where you tell your readers how you will be able to solve the problem which you identified during your literature review. In this section, you will be informing your readers step by step on the method that you applied to actualize your research aim. So the first approach is to identify your research design. Are you doing an experimental study? Are you doing a qualitative research that includes interviews and observation? Or are you doing a quantitative research that requires survey using questionnaire and other survey instruments? This must be clearly highlighted. Another important aspect, if you have identified which design you are applying in your study, then you must identify your population. So research population means the participants that will be partaking or that will be involved in your research. It could be people, it could be place, it could be animals, it could be a location. So it depends on your kind of study. And after you have identified your population, you also need to state the sample size. So the sample size basically is the specific number of participants that will partake in your research. After you have identified these participants, then you will begin to collect your data using the data collection instruments, depending on your kind of research. If you're doing a quantitative research, your data collection instrument is basically a questionnaire or any other form of survey. And you will ensure that the sample you have adequately selected the sample size using sampling techniques. There are several sampling techniques, so you need to apply these sampling techniques to ensure that you have reached out to the adequate number of sample size to ensure that your result can be generalized. Then, another important aspect is the analysis of your data. You must ensure that you choose a robust data analysis technique to avoid any form of misinterpretation or any form of inaccurate analysis that will jeopardize the credibility of your research. Talking about results, you need to know the kind of results that you will report in your study. Okay? So the most important thing is that you must identify and report the main findings. Not all findings are required in your article. If you are doing a thesis, then you have to report all the findings, and some of them can also be put in the appendix. But in an article, because you're restricted with the word count, you must focus on reporting the main findings. Highlight your findings, whether it is different from existing literature or not, you must report it as it is. Okay? Also, it is important to use figures, graphs, and tables to report your data. After reporting your data, the next thing you should do is to discuss your results. Ensure that you interpret your result in a clear and understandable way, and your results must be discussed to address your research questions or your research hypothesis. Also, you have to contextualize your result with existing literature, showing the similarities, the differences, and a clear explanation of your findings. Then you have to address the implication of your result. What is the contribution? What is your study contributing to existing body of knowledge? You have to discuss that clearly, and after that you have to state the area of further study to guide your readers to understand the next line of research. Then the conclusion section is also important. You must be very concise. You have to summarize the key findings, restate the main points, and highlight their significance and reflect on their implications for the broader context of your study. After you have completed your article, it is important that you send it out to your supervisor or your mentor or even your colleagues to give you constructive feedback. And after you've done that, you have to review the journal scope to ensure that your article aligns with their scope. And once you have ascertained all these things, then you submit your article. It takes, depending on the journal, it takes about 3 months to 1 year to get the feedback from a journal. So sometimes this feedback comes positive, where your article is accepted with a minor comment or major comment. And on the other hand, your article may be rejected instantly. What do? If your article is accepted with comments, then you have to address those comments critically. Address those comments point by point. You create a table and address the comments. You create a table and place the reviewer's comment in one side of the table, while on the other side is your response to the comments. And you must make sure that you address these comments in the best of your knowledge. If your article is rejected, you have to go back to the drawing board. What I normally do is I take a little break and then I come back with a fresh perspective. Then I look at this article and also review the comments, and then I will see the flaws of the article. So it's either you continue with the article, enhance it and send it to another journal, or you can just focus on another new research niche. That is all for today's presentation, and thank you